When you're a weird rock star, animals in unusual situations are just par for the course, whether they're hanging out in your recording studio stuffed for display or accidentally slaughtered. One of the songs on Jack White's 2018 album Boarding House Reach was based on music that Al Capone composed by hand while doing time in Alcatraz. But that weirdness was just par for the course for a guy who became famous for being in a band with his sister Meg, until it became clear that they weren't siblings but actually ex-spouses. In 2012, a reporter from the New York Times visited an industrial corner of Nashville where White had purchased a building and turned it into an office, music venue, record store, and more. On display were plenty of taxidermied animals, which White loves to collect. He even appeared on an episode of American Pickers where he purchased a taxidermied elephant head.
I really do love animals, and I love the majesty of taxidermy.
White's other odd traits include a serious dislike of nurses and an appreciation for scrapbooks from old insane asylums. Stephen Morris was the drummer for Joy Division and New Order. As it turns out, he's also notable for his collection of old tanks and armored vehicles. He actually takes them out for drives in the English countryside and has pretend battles with post office vans. He once tried to convey the draw of this hobby to a reporter from Electronic Beats by explaining, "Some people like roller coasters. It's a bit like that. It's an adrenaline thing, but it's a slow sort of adrenaline thing because they don't go very fast." Morris originally really wanted a vintage car, but his wife wasn't a fan of the idea. When he saw someone selling a tank, however, she was much more on board with that plan, although it doesn't sound like he recommends it to anyone else. As he put it, "I always wondered what it was like inside one, and now I can tell you it's not very nice." Tom DeLonge's obsession with extraterrestrials was pretty evident on Blink-182's third album, Enema of the State, which includes the track Aliens Exist. Since then, his belief in visitors from outer space has taken over his life in a big way. Not only does he own hundreds of hours of interviews with government workers who allegedly know about aliens, but he also claims to have had contact with them himself. As he told Paper Magazine in 2015, "My whole body felt like it had static electricity. It sounded like there were about 20 people there talking, and instantly my mind goes, okay, they're not here to hurt us, but they're working on something."
I think you'll start to hear the pressure building to have congressional hearings on
I
this.
see. Okay.
DeLonge has also claimed that his phone was tapped by the government for years and that he has been contacted by scientists who know aliens are real. His efforts did help lead to the declassification of some UFO videos in 2020, and now that more people are open to the idea of UFOs being alien crafts, he's moved on to trying to prove that Bigfoot exists. In addition to his music, Prince was famous for his outrageous fashion, androgynous looks, and that time he changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol. But when it came to the enigma that was Prince, those qualities were downright banal. As an example of further weirdness, while Prince was on tour, he would bring his own hairdresser and have them rent out a local salon for his personal use. Windows were also newspapered up to keep his presence a secret, but one time when someone saw him in Washington, D.C., it almost led to a riot. This obsessive love from his fans wasn't exactly reciprocated, as Prince often sued or threatened to sue people who shared images of him or video from his concerts on blogs or social media. Prince also owned 2 doves as pets and even credited them as singers on one of his albums. They lived at his iconic Minnesota home/recording studio, Paisley Park. Perhaps the most unexpected thing Prince had in his recording studio was a swear jar, a policy that he rigorously enforced. Alice Cooper is well known for his wildly theatrical stage persona, although offstage he claims to be rather boring, especially since he stopped drinking. However, back in the day, he and his band became famous for a tragic incident involving a chicken being killed during a gig in 1969. According to legend, the crowd threw the bird on stage. Cooper tossed it back, but then the crowd proceeded to rip it apart.
I took the chicken and tossed it thinking it had feathers, it should fly. Well, it didn't fly as much as it plummeted.
Subsequent reports added ritualistic elements to the tale and claimed that Cooper himself had killed the chicken. Bassist Dennis Dunaway wrote about the incident in his memoir, and according to his telling, it turned out that the only reason there were chickens around to begin with was because the band was traveling with 2 of them. They were named Larry and Pecker, and they were treated like pets. The legend that built up around the chicken incident actually worked in the band's favor. As Dunaway recounted, it got us off the hook with animal protection organizations, who after the chicken incident showed up at every Alice Cooper gig to prevent our murdering chickens, which we never did. Late ZZ Top bassist Dusty Hill was in showbiz for most of his life, so during a long break from touring, he once decided that the best way to keep it real would be working a manual labor job at an airport. He had to change his look, although this was before he grew out his iconic beard, so it was easier to pull off, and he also had to go by a false name in order to get away with it. Even then, some people still recognized him, but he always denied that he was famous. He ultimately seemed pretty happy with the results of his experiment. As he told Ultimate Classic Rock, "I did not want other people to think that I thought I was full of myself, but the main thing is that I didn't want to start feeling full of myself, so I did it to ground myself." Hill was no stranger to unusual jobs before this, as he and future ZZ Top bandmate Frank Beard were recruited to be part of a group that toured the United States pretending to be the British band The Zombies.